Starting off, we defined the inner diameter of the housing on using a circle on the top plane, centered on the origin with a 20 millimeter diameter. This leaves a 0.65 millimeter gap between the plunger and this housing, which is plenty for the O-ring to grip without restraining movement too much. Then we did a thin extrude outwards 2.5 millimeters, which was plenty thickness for structural integrity, and upwards 65 millimeters, which is enough length to contain both the plunger and the lure tip that holds onto the needle. Next, we created a rectangular sketch on the front plane, and it was centered along this center line, and the bottom line is collinear with this bottom line of the plunger, or the housing. 40 millimeter height, which is plenty of viewing height for the length you usually insert a needle, and 6 millimeters wide, which gives a nice viewing opening. Then a reference plane was created tangential to this cylindrical body and parallel to the front plane, which then allowed us to create this circular sketch on the midpoint of this center line with a 15 millimeter diameter, which is wide enough for the purposes of then inserting a heat insert while being structurally sound. Then this circle was extruded to the surface of the cylinder, so it's actually connected, and then outwards 10 millimeters, which is enough depth for the heat insert. And then a fillet was added to make it more structurally sound, and it was 2 millimeters. Next, on the top surface of the cylindrical housing, we created an elliptical sketch coincident with both ends and tangential. And then we converted this outer circle so that we could then have these two surfaces to click on and extrude while maintaining the hole in the middle. And we extruded upwards 3 millimeters, which is enough thickness for it to not break when you're applying the light force of pushing on the plunger. And then we filleted the edges 1 millimeter so that it would be more ergonomic. Then we did a circular cut centered on the same circular extrude with an 8.75 millimeter diameter and a 9 millimeter depth. This met the dimensional requirements of a tight fit for the heat insert. Then created the sketch for the 5 millimeter notches that provide a frame of reference for depth. So we created small 0.25 by 2 millimeter rectangles, with the center being 5 millimeters from the top edge of this viewing window, and then did a linear pattern for 6 more instances, all spaced 5 millimeters. And then this sketch was mirrored across this center line, so that it would be on both sides. And then this sketch was made on that reference plane we made earlier. And so the extruded cut was offset so that it cuts from the surface of this cylindrical body with a depth of 0.5 millimeters. Then this whole feature was mirrored across the front plane so that it would be on both viewing windows.